Tell Hey, Laura. Oh my God. Today is a little warmer than yesterday. Thank God. It's so cold in Chicagoland. If you guys don't live in Chicago, you guys, it's unbelievable. I think I'm getting used to it. I don't know about you, Laura. What do you think?
I'm not used to. You know what? I'm used to it, but it's like as you get older, I think it's harder and harder. And we fast every morning and we have to be there at 7. And the coldest day time during the day is when it's just funny how that works. So it's pretty and that's how you
Well,
doing?
I'm doing great, and I just gotta say something. I know that this is an awesome subject, and I'm just gonna turn it to you to talk about like the starts of it, and then we're just gonna go roll through this all. This is so cool how diet can make or break your mental health. It's so profound. It's kind of a piece of the puzzle that I think a lot of people don't have that they need to grasp and they need to make a quick change because we're all about trying to stay healthy and be the best version of ourselves. And as we grow older and wiser, we learn more, right? So Laura, I'm gonna turn it to you right now and say, hey, how you doing?
Doing good. And you know what, Debbie, I think we're doing a subject found that I think is going to save my life today. I'm not kidding you. It was like it was meant for us to do this. And I thank you so much for finding this. But we're going to talk about food and mood, like Debbie said, that how it how the two of them work together for and it helps our brains and our gut. But I want to tell you a little story. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit what I've been going through. And you all know I lost 60 pounds and I want to lose the rest this year. But, I don't know what it has been since Christmas and New Year's. I ate right for those holidays, but now I started eating all wrong stuff. And I have seen such a change in my mood that there's times where I feel my blood sugar goes up so high that I have to go to sleep or I can't do anything. So I just sit there and not doing it. And then I start getting depressed. I mean, I was walking around here yesterday saying how much I hate myself because of the food I was eating. And the more I thought about it, the more I ate the food. And the more and more I got in depression. It was like a whole, like a ball rolling over and over again. And I got up this morning and I started reading this thing that Debbie had sent me about what we're going to talk about. And I was like, oh my gosh, was that meant for me? And I've been thinking about it all morning and reading up on it and actually looking at some YouTubes on stuff about this. And there is stuff out there about on YouTube. But it's amazing about how when you eat the wrong foods, like carbohydrates and sugar and caffeine, you might get that feeling of satisfaction for a few minutes, but then your body crashes and then you eat more thinking you need to eat more. And then this goes on all day long, all day long. But if you ate the right things with the right vitamins and the right protein and everything, how different your life for the whole day. I mean, I can't tell you, it was so bad. I don't know if anybody out there suffers from depression. I do for a lot of reasons, but the thing is that we can avoid it. Try food, try changing your food. There's so much medication out there for depression and everything, and they cause so many other problems. So, like we always say, be an advocate for your health. So, Debbie, you want to talk a little bit about the mood and your food?
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about some of the different advocates that are bad mood
Okay.
cues, and then we're going to talk about what we can do to actually,
Okay.
that'd be a great way to handle it. The first thing is what Lori's been talking a lot about is the blood sugar. Okay. And I thought this was really good. So I'm going to read it verbatim. And remember, guys, we are no experts. We take this
Right.
we get it from some reliable sources, and we say, listen to what we're saying, but go ahead and be your own advocate, like Lori.
Right. Exactly.
So the brain runs primarily on glucose, which I never really realized that. Okay, feeling stupid here, right? And unstable blood sugar deprives the brain of the steady source of fuel. So I always like to use the example, I've used it before, but never in this exact way, is that, if you don't put gas in your car, car's not going to run. Okay, so obviously we need to, if your body's gonna run efficiently and you're gonna feel good, we don't want to just like put anything in our body. If you ever eat too much sugar and just feel so crappy, afterwards, it's just terrible. So what happens is they say when we haven't eaten and our blood sugar dips, okay, so we're not eating correctly, the brain doesn't get the energy it needs, so it's not going to function. So that's when you're going to also, not even is it going to be the mood, let's just talk about not being able to focus, not being able to achieve the task that you're trying to do. You can't run on empty just like your car can't run on empty. So eating foods that cause blood sugar to peak and then drop quickly, the refined sugars and other simple carbohydrates lead to like an insulin resistance. Okay. And the insulin is what maintains our energy levels by shutting the glucose into the cells, and then everything is going to work properly. Okay. So again, I'm no scientist, no nutritionist, but I'm just telling you the simple stuff. Okay. Some of this then over time, if we keep getting the skip up, will lead to depression. Okay. And also it's very common if you have type 2 diabetes, which I'm not an expert on, and I know Laura knows a lot more. All that I just said also leads to inflammation if you're not doing things properly, which will also be a journey along the way where you can actually be the perfect candidate for dementia and Alzheimer's. Okay, because all this is done a cognitive decline. So with all that I just said, Lori, if you've got anything that you can like add in there, because you've got some personal, with you knowing that you've had diabetes, okay, and that you're kind of what you've done with your weight loss has been fantastic, but then it's also still continuing. What else?
Yeah, it's consistency. And the thing is, the whole gut thing, I suffer with that. And just, the whole thing that your gut and your brain, they work together, and that's all stuff that I really didn't know until I was reading a lot of this stuff. You always think of it being two different things and that they don't work together. But as far as inflammation, I know what that is. We talked about that before, about your doctor telling me I had so much inflammation in my body, and that's why I was having so many problems. But there's just so many things. We could learn to eat in so many different ways, to just eating stuff that's a little bit better for us. And once you learn what those are, you're going to find out that there's going to be a big difference about how you feel and how about your mood and stuff like that. So, but again, blood sugar, eating foods that cause sugar to peak and drop quickly, refined sugars are simple carbohydrates that lead to insulin resistance. See, that's what it is when you're diabetic. Okay. You have insulin resistance. And that is because what's happening is your body's getting too much sugar and it's not producing enough insulin to actually conquer the sugar. And that's where the problem relies on. It took me a while to understand that for years too. So,
I never
uh,
either, to be honest with you, said that.
uh, well-managed blood sugar is notably positive effects on the brain. And I know that because, I do the intermittent fasting, at least I try. And sometimes at 12 o'clock, my sugar has gone down so much that I have brain fog and I feel like I'm in another zone. It's a terrible feeling. So I'm going back to eating more 3 meals or 5 small meals a day because I think it's going to be better for my sugar. But it's true. And, inflammation also is, if you could get the inflammation taken care of, you can prevent yourself from dementia in the future. That's part of and Alzheimer's. These are all forms of cognitive decline. And it's all because of your body not eating the proper foods and overloading on sugar. And the other thing too is that when you have a lot of the sugar and stuff, what happens to you, you feel good for a couple minutes, and then after that, you want it again. And it's a vicious cycle all day long. Deb, you want to talk about some nutrient deficiencies?
Absolutely. And the nutrition deficiency kind of rolls right into the protein.
Yeah.
is only challenge to mental health. Okay, you know, the brain requires specific nutrients. Okay, and for proper brain and function, you need to hit the right elements like protein. I've read a lot about how protein actually, and I hope I'm not leading it in the wrong way, but protein actually helps the nutrients. Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. You're going in and out a little bit with the sound.
let me move closer because sometimes that happens. Is it better?
I want, yeah, yeah.
So basically, with what I was saying was that, like with the protein, you know, a lot of times the protein is going to help all the nutrients kind of like lock together, kind of, you know, get absorbed in your body. Okay, that's why they say sometimes too with certain supplements to make sure you're taking it with different things. But protein, in addition, provides amino acids to help build the neurotransmitting protein that supports the mood by how it stabilizes the blood sugar. All right, so that's kind of like how it's everything's working together, and it's like the piece of the puzzle that's actually like working so well. Vitamin B nutrients, okay, like antioxidants, help transform food into glucose, okay? So that's another important situation. The brain is more than 60% fat, and the omega-3s support the neuronatal tissue synthesis, whatever that kind of function helps with. And these mechanisms help to ease the anxiety and depression. So this is all everything, kind of like everything working together. I mean, our bodies are so incredibly amazing, okay? But we sometimes take it for granted and don't think, we think that we can just abuse them. Not purposely, okay? Not purposely, we don't do it, but being ignorant to the fact of what we should do, not realizing it, okay? And so this is just such a good topic. And then going back to what Lori was talking about, the gut, when the gut gets disrupted and the gut gets off, the gut to brain connect. We've talked about this previously in different segments. This is really important. You know, so these are the things that we want to make sure that everybody gets aware of. And you do your own due diligence, you know, as well. Lord, you add in there.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And and then there's protein, that's another thing that stabilizes blood sugar. My weight doctor, she says, Lori, if you're gonna always try to have protein in every meal, that will help you. If you're gonna have something that's got a little bit more carbohydrates, make sure you have a protein with it. And it's so important because again, our bodies are like computers, yeah, you get what you put in. If you don't put the right stuff in, you're not going to get out the same thing. And you know what? As we get older, us senior to be citizens or senior citizens, early senior citizens, we have to watch this stuff. I mean, it's like, every bad day could cause us weeks of problems. Whereas if you're young, it might, it's like a hangover, but you have a hangover for like a week. Not actually a hangover, but like you're not right for like a week because of one day of not eating right foods and stuff. And you could eat, oh, go ahead, Deb. Sorry. Oh, you could celebrate and have fun and all that stuff by just eat taking in mind what you're eating and eat better, when you go out to eat and stuff like that. You make sure you get a protein, make sure you have some greens, salads and vegetables, because all these vitamins and acids, omega-3 acids, fatty acids, are all good for the brain. So let's go talk about the gut, Deb. You know a little bit about that, don't you? Not because of you, but just people you know.
I'm gonna say let's kind of just we have let's breeze through this and just say that when it's disrupted, your mood can be reflected from it. And let's just say that everybody should really like research that a lot because everyone who has different issues stomach wise might not realize how much this can affect other parts and affect all the subjects that we're talking about. Because we got a whole other section here we want to get to that. This is one of the things that help.
Right, right. Well, we should talk about food allergies because there was a book out one time, and I think when you talked about it, I don't remember the name of the book, but talking about you get rid of certain things, okay? And then you start slowly reintroducing them, excuse me,
Right.
like dairy and what was some of the other stuff they would take away and
There's a book that does the 7 different things,
excuse me.
all different things, and then you add it slowly back in and see where you have trigger points and stuff. And a lot of times with this, you want to do this with a nutritionist or a doctor that, it
Mhm.
because you can find out different things about yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah, definitely.
definitely
All right. Well, let's go to 8 ways to support your mood with food. Deb, you could start. That'd be awesome.
absolutely. We're gonna motor through these kind of.
Yeah.
We're gonna list all the 8 things, okay? But then I think what we want to key in on is some of the nutrients that we can see.
Right. Okay. Sounds great.
And I think that's really cool. So I'll take the first, let's do, we'll just keep, I'll take 3, you take 3. How's that?
That's
Eat plants. Okay, no, plants. Okay, guys, everything that's grown from the ground, what was intended for us to have in our bodies, okay? Your lettuces, your spinach, your vegetables, your fruits and all that kind of stuff, nuts, all those things are so good for you. And if you're not getting enough of those things, then absolutely it's just gonna not, be good. And one of the things that I'm gonna say real quick is that look up a lot about the Mediterranean diet. That's supposed to be one of the best diets to have because of the balance. Okay. So you're not depriving yourself of too many things and not eating. It's all about balance. Okay. Lori spoke too about mind the caffeine. So watch the caffeine a little bit. The caffeine could be a problem for you, and that could actually, and especially what are you putting in your coffee? Are you going for those real sugary, foo-foo ones that are just like crazy? That's not your best thing to do. And then focus on the healthy fats. Okay. There are some very healthy fats. I'll use one as an example. Avocados. A lot of people say, well, they're fattening, but there's so much good that you get out of that. So work on researching. We're going to say research out this. We're not going to dig deep into this. We're going to go to the vitamins here in a second, nutrients. But those are 3 things right there. Laura, you want to take it from there?
Yeah. Make sure that you feed your friendly gut flora. That means eating fermented food. Like, for example, plain yogurt is fermented, and that's good. And they have the probiotic yogurts too. And sauerkraut, which is great. You would not think that, but it does. And fermented vegetables. I don't know too much about fermented vegetables, but that's something I'm gonna look into. Next, you increase your fiber. Fiber is really good for you. Apples have a lot of have a lot of fiber. So does oatmeal. There's so many things that have a lot of fiber. Artichokes, asparagus. We talked about apples, onions. They're very good for your brain and your gut, both. And then avoid food sensitivity triggers. Um, they cause a lot of inflammation in your body and cause a lot of problems, with depression and stuff. Because the more you have inflammation, the more your body hurts, like arthritis and everything. So what you need to do is you need to go on a gluten, if you're sensitive food, go on a gluten-free diet. Eggs, peanuts, those are a lot of the things that are trigger foods for allergies. And the next one is consider meal time. Okay, that is really important. Again, if you don't eat right, you might have a lot of anxiety, and you might, like, for example, if I don't eat at the right time, my blood sugar is going to be off, and either it's going to get really low, and then when I start eating, it's going to get really high. So you need to do that. It's going to help with your digestive system and everything else, and also it will help with your obesity too. I know years ago, and I'm sorry I use myself for an example all the time, but that's all I really know is the best way I lost weight years ago was I ate 3 main meals a day, and I had 2 small snacks in between. And I was able to shed the pounds very good, and I didn't stop eating after a certain time, and I didn't eat until a certain time in the morning. All right, Deb, you want to do the last one on that?
Oh, absolutely. And then it just says, listen to your body. I think, all right, you may be like going around and saying you're not feeling good and you're not, um, you're dragging or you can't focus or whatever, or you feel depressed. Think about your overall wellness. Okay. So what, again, we go back to that whole example of what you do like on your car, and so, a lot of times, like if you're on your dashboard, you see that your oil's low or your tires need air or whatever, that's the trigger point that your car is telling you what you need. Well,
Okay.
you gotta pay attention. You gotta be your own advocate. You gotta think about it. Okay. You gotta think about the stuff that, because here's the thing. If you ignore it, it's not gonna change, you know? So now here's some simple stuff. We're gonna go through a couple at a time and then we'll just flip flop back and forth. I'm gonna say key nutrients for mood support. Okay, here are some ones. And I'm gonna just read right from the thing because I don't wanna like mislead. Iron is essential for forming hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that helps transport oxygen from the lungs to the brain. Here's some food sources: red meat, okay, pumpkin seeds, oysters, and spinach. So now, if you can incorporate some of the stuff into your meals, this is going to help you with your iron. Iron is very, 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 very good. Magnesium regulates neurotransmitters and stabilizes the mood. Okay. So good food sources: almonds, cashews, and spinach. Okay. Those are very easy. Now, you may be a person that maybe you can't have. I know my husband can't have almonds and nuts and things like that, but you can get almond peanut butter or almond butter or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you can find ways of supplementing that. Okay. And then I'm going to do the next one and turn to omega-3 fatties, such as long chain EPA and DHA, promote neuroplasticity and neurotransmission. Now, we're all talking the brain, guys, and the brain is the gut to brain is what is going to be
Mhm.
what controls your body. Okay. And so food sources: wild salmon, anchovies, walnuts, and flaxseed. Okay, so those are very good sources there. Laura, you want to take it from potassium?
Yeah, potassium. This is it's necessary for neurotransmission with the potassium. Food sources are bananas, broccoli, sweet potatoes, and white beans. I mean, those are all, I mean, they got carbs in them, but you know what? They have potassium in it. So that's what you have to look at. Selenium helps thyroid function and regard and regulates moods. And that food source is Brazil nuts, sardines, and eggs. So again, these are all really good foods. Vitamin A supports neuroplasticity. Food sources are leafy greens, orange and yellow vegetables, and beef liver, which is one of my favorites.
Right.
Okay, Debbie, you want to talk about B6?
Yes, I was gonna say omega for liver. Oh my God, omega.
Yeah, I know. I love a liver. Oh, I do. I know we're crazy, but we love liver.
Right. Um, oh, let me just say something really quick. If you're craving something, a lot of
Yeah.
times
Mhm.
your body needs it. Okay, so remember that. Okay, vitamin B, aids brain growth and function. Food sources are chickpeas, beef liver, and leafy greens. Okay, and chickpeas. I'll tell you, I throw a can of chickpeas into soup when I make soup and stuff, or put it in salads. Those are so good. And that would also be your hummus. Okay,
Right, hummus. Yes, big time hummus. Yes. Yes.
hummus is a big deal these days. Um,
Yeah.
well, helps produce the neurotransmitters serotonin and um, dopamine. So food sources there are clams, dairy products, and nutritional yeast. Folate or B9 is critical for mood. Food sources are Brussels sprouts, leafy greens, and beef liver. Let me just pause for a second, and then Laura, I'll let you do have your,
Yeah.
but let me just pause and say one thing. Do you notice that there are some things that cross over, but do you also notice that there's some variation of different things?
Yes.
Balance and trying to pick choices of these items that you actually can get. Now, you can
Right.
take these in supplements to make sure you're getting,
Right.
which is I highly recommend. But turning it to you, Laura.
Thiamine, I think it's that tell you. Or B1 supports energy production of brain health. And that's where we have nuts, legumes, and beef. I love legumes. I love beans. I love all that kind of stuff. And vitamin C, which we all know, I mean, that's probably the most popular one, is a powerful antioxidant and fights inflammation. Food sources are citrus, red peppers, broccoli, leafy greens, and strawberries. And the last one is zinc, can aid neuroplasticity. Food sources are pumpkin seeds, oysters, and beef. I have a question about that. Maybe you can answer that. Do you eat the whole pumpkin seed or you try to open them up? That's what I was thinking about that all morning.
No, I've done it where I've done it that way, but it's better to open it up if you can, because I think that the outer shell of it is actually going to be, if it's not digested, it's very,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what I was thinking.
I kind of feel like, but pumpkin seeds are so good. So if you can get them shelled, that's always better too.
Yeah, right.
Stuff on here, Laura, that we just went through that, like, sweet potatoes, for instance. Sweet potatoes are so high in fiber. So, you might go, well, I'm trying to watch my carbohydrates, but you got to look at like how much fiber is in there, because that's going to outweigh the carbohydrate. And then you need it for a certain function for your body. So, all again, guys, let me just make mention, everybody's body's different. Everybody's
Right.
activities are different. Everybody's, the way they react to certain things is different. It's a process of elimination. And when you kind of find out that like what works best for you, it's kind of good to stick within that. And then when you want to cheat, you cheat, and then you jump right back on the bandwagon, right? You get back so that you can feel better. That's my take on it.
Right. I agree. And like I said, like my nutritionist told me, is that if you're gonna eat something bad, eat something protein with it. It balances it out. That's the whole thing about balancing. But I'm just really interested in this Mediterranean diet. I'm gonna look it up after we're done with our Zoom and find some information on that.
I feel like I'm hearing that more and more, for so many years. I do eat, for the most part, I don't do white carbs. Like I don't eat like white breads, and I don't eat like pastas. But then I'll turn around and, yes, do I have like a sweet item here and there? Yes. But I'll do the whole grain rices, and I'll do the sweet potato, and I'll do wheat toast or whatever. And I will tell you that I feel so much better. Years ago, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to have any carbs. Well, when you remember when we used to do no carbs, no carbs, some of that was even some of the things that we really needed, like some of the vegetables and fruits. And so now I love fruits and vegetables. They're so good for you. Um, so
Think
anyway,
you live your life and not deprive yourself of not eating, because I really think the trick is to keep your engine running. You got to feed it with fuel, right? And that's
I agree.
and that's basically it. But if you're feeding it with fuel for the right things, it's going to keep working. And boy, we had to learn about that this week with this cold weather going inside. We had to start our cars ahead of time, all kinds of stuff, because it was so cold out.
Right.
So
Right. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, with all that being said, I think that this was a great subject. I think that we can actually even like probably piggyback off of it for some
yeah,
other subjects and stuff like that. And of course, guys, this is a new year. We're talking about being healthy, getting healthy. I think, the mission of all that stuff. And Lori, you've always been so great with getting like on our page what we're trying to accomplish. And so I'm just gonna turn it to you. You want to just close us out?
oh, I sure will. You guys, everybody have a wonderful day, and wherever you're at, keep warm if it's cold. If you're in a sunny area in Arizona or Florida or whatever, please enjoy the weather. But with that, we'll see you next week. And I'm Lori,
I'm Debbie.
and we're friends helping friends. God bless all of you. Take care. Bye bye.